Not a bad person, she's just caught up in a bad situation with someone who led her astray. That is how a close childhood friend describes Nandipha Magudumana.
Now, he says growing up, Dr. Magudumana was well-behaved, focused and fun-loving. Now, in an exclusive interview, Magudumana's friend sat down with our award-winning senior reporter Silindoluhle Masigane and speaks about the shock that her loved ones are in now that she's behind bars.
It's come as a shock that a beautiful, intelligent woman like Dr. Nandipha Magudumana could be affiliated to a convicted murderer and rapist. It's been revealed that the aesthetics doctor lived with Facebook rapist Thabo Bester for 10 months after his elaborate escape from the Mangaung prison. It's alleged she pretended to be Bester's customary wife and attempted to cremate the body that was found in his cell. Magudumana was found with Bester in Arusha, Tanzania. She's now fighting for her freedom in court while facing several charges linked to Bester's escape. In previous interviews, Magudumana said she wanted to be a doctor from the age of 6. A close childhood friend says growing up, Magudumana was focused on her studies.
I basically grew up with her, and except for every other holiday and weekend, I'd be at their home as such. And growing up, Nandipha was very reserved, quiet, well-behaved. She was either reading books or studying most of the time. Always in Bible study, youth activities, church. The father was in education. He was working in education as such. He was always motivating us, encouraging us to study, avoid trouble as such. He was a good guy. Our mother is a very loving person. And they're all decent folk. It's just, I don't know how this all went down this way, but it's just a bad case.
It's still unclear just when and where Magudumana met Bester.
Yeah, I was taken aback. And it shocked me seriously, as I had known that she was married and living with a partner. So to find out that she's now involved with a supposed convict, I was startled. Well, from what I can gather from Kusnati, she was studying, and then obviously she was doing a bit of modeling, and Thabo Bester came about, or she applied or put her portfolio out there, and this is where he snapped her up there and led her in this track astray. That's the whole scenario. Yeah, she's been caught up in a bad situation by someone who led her astray with all the conniving and thieving ways that he's gone about his businesses as such. And she just got in too deep and didn't know how to turn back and felt threatened for her life in some situations. And it's just a shock as to how this can come about, because we never saw it coming growing up.
Magudumana's childhood friend believes Bester was influencing her in some way.
The fact that her brother was once upon a time put on a insurance policy, and it was entitled to her, and there was bodies found, goes to show that she wasn't willing to actually go to the extent of killing her own brother, and she found means to go about alternative routes to pleasing this individual as such. Because according to Kusnati, this guy was tracking him down and trying to know his position constantly before these dead bodies were found as such. If you hear from Kusnati, he'll tell you that in some cases she was followed around by his henchmen. I don't know. I don't know him personally, but from what Kusnati has to say, this is a mean fella. Really mean fella. Apparently, he used to actually beat up her children when they used to come about there. That's why they were so terrified of him. This guy had some power over her. It was either the threat of life or something else, but she just, I don't know.
Magudumana's friend says if he had an opportunity to speak to her, he would say,
just tell the truth, sis, and repent. That's the best advice I could give to her, because it is what it is. It is what it is, yeah. So she just got to deal with it, tell the truth and repent. That's all I can advise her to do.
Slinda Lomasigane, Durban.